All right. Welcome, everybody, to the awards and closing remarks ceremony for AIIDE 2021, which is a little bit bittersweet because it means we are about to part in some ways, but it's also celebratory because we get to find out who won various awards. So I'd like to first give a few of what I perceive, at least, to be some of the highlights, and in truth, what Stephen and I perceive both to be some of the highlights of the event that we've had this year so far. One is that we noticed that conversations that are happening between academia and industry seem to be closer than they have been in the past, and in a way that kind of seems to offer more clear paths toward cross-fertilization with the ideas. Like, we've got serious and compelling practitioner papers and also academic papers that are kind of pushing the envelope in the sense of technical capability, that it feels like, hey, there might be a way that can actually be transitioned well into practicing game. We've seen examples of that as through the conference as well. Also, a highlight for me, at least, was to see the first edition of the Programming Languages for Interactive Experiences workshop, which had particularly hard-hitting keynotes, I found, and really strong contributions from the authors overall. So thanks very much, in particular, to the organizers of that workshop. I very much appreciate the effort it takes to get a new thing going, and it turned out surprisingly well. And I shouldn't say surprisingly, it turned out better than a typical attempt would get, right? You try to make a workshop, and this one was above the bar. Overall, excellent discussions. Just during the poster panels, the post-paper panels, I should say, or at the posters and demos, I had some excellent conversations there. Also in the Playable Experiences panel, and particularly I want to highlight in the DC session, the fact that it ended up being like a careers panel in support of the students who were there, I found really excellent. And I was super glad to see how much support was being given to the students. And I think that that's something that our community does particularly well, is supporting the students who are coming up into this field and helping them get a good grounding and be successful in what they're about. A few more general thoughts. Like I alluded to earlier, it seems like we're tackling larger problems overall. Like, we're talking about thousands of simulated characters, each doing kind of non-trivial things, finding reasonable plans in milliseconds rather than minutes or hours. Yeah, some of them still take minutes and hours, but we're getting down to milliseconds for some reasonable stuff, so that's amazing. We're also seeing like we're happier with mixing methods together. We've talked about reinforcement learning combined with behavior trees, or planning as a bridge between ML and other techniques, or using decision trees to explain how neural networks work. It's really refreshing to see that it's not just like people who like RL siloed in their own work, or people who like neural nets siloed in that area. Cross-fertilization is what a conference like this is all about. So thank you for buying into that. And also, it seems like there's maybe a bit of a trend to visualizing more what our systems are actually doing, like in making tools that support author understanding and refinement. As the person who wants to create an experience using AI, how do they understand what's going to happen? And I've noticed quite a few visualization tools across the workshops and in the conference that seem to support that task really well. And I'm super happy to see that sort of work being done. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen now, who has the happy task of telling you who has won the awards for the conference this year.
Yeah, this is probably the most fun of all my duties. So I just wanted to repeat a thank you to the program committee this year for really thorough and constructive reviews. I feel like it's one of the great strengths of AIIDE. I also want to mention that these decisions were made intentionally based off only the papers and the reviews, not based on the presentations. So we made these decisions before watching the presentations for the associated papers. Different conferences decide how these awards should be given out differently. Some, for example, do a community vote. And we've intentionally not done that at AIIDE in the past, and again this year, because that tends to be a sort of best presentation vote, and we are really interested specifically in best paper based on content and based on the quality of reviews and whatnot. Okay, so let's see the nominees for best paper. Okay, so these were our three nominees: Mappyland, Fast Accurate Mapping for Console Games, a Case Study in Learning in Metagames in Super Smash Bros. Melee, and Force Dynamic Model of Narrative Agents. And so drum roll, please. On the next slide, we will see Congratulations to Joe, Adam, Nathan, and Soskum Ning for Mappy Land. Great work. As is always the case, this was an extremely difficult decision. All of the papers on this list got extremely high reviews, but it is worth noting that this paper did have the highest reviews in the conference. We didn't give it to it just based on that one criteria, but this paper had an average score of above 2.5, where 3 is strongly agree, which is the highest score you can possibly get. So this paper, like the reviewers, overwhelmingly agreed that this was a strong accept, really fantastic paper. It was rated as having few to no unfixable weaknesses. It built well on past work. One of the only serious criticisms of the paper was make sure you give sufficient citation to Mappy, which was previous work by this same team. So all of these papers were incredible. They were very highly reviewed. They were very well loved by the reviewers, and the papers themselves are well written. And this one really took the cake. So congratulations to our Best Paper Award. Okay, now we have our Best Student Paper nominees. And it's worth sort of repeating that we actually have 6 Best Student Paper nominees. We have 4 papers which were exclusively in this category, but also 2 of the Best Paper nominees had student first authors. So they are also nominated for receiving this award. Again, all of these papers, I had that sort of 4-phase review system. All of these papers clearly made it in the first round. They were the clear accept as full oral presentations. Reviewers were overwhelmingly positive, agreed these were great papers, very few unfixable weaknesses, very high ratings of strengths, and then just a lot of effusive praise in the in the narrative descriptions. Okay, so let's have a drum roll, please. Our winner for Best Student Paper AIIDE 2021 is A Force Dynamic Model of Narrative Agents. So congratulations to Quinn, Clark, and Jonathan. You got to see this presentation just earlier today. The paper is also really fantastic, so I encourage you to check it out. Again, this was an extremely difficult decision. It is always hard to make this decision, but this one took the cake. So congratulations to our authors. Okay, we have an award at AIIDE. What's next, Artifact or Reviewer? Probably Artifact. Let's see. Yes, so the Artifact evaluation track continues this year. We're very happy that this tradition, once started, has continued every year. This encourages, the repeatability of work and at least to some extent, archiving the work, though we need to get a little better about that. So in all cases, these were artifacts that were submitted along with papers that were accepted to the conference that were independently reviewed by a separate group of reviewers based on how easy it was to use, how well explained it was, how valuable it would be to the community. These were our 3 nominees for Best Artifact: Plug and Blend, which you saw today; Winnow, which was a poster at the poster session yesterday; and Efficient 2D Sound Propagation, which was also at the poster session yesterday. So drum roll, please. Our Best Artifact Award goes to Efficient 2D Sound Propagation. So congratulations, Nima and Clark. All right, and our 4th and final award for this year is the Best Program Committee Member, also known as Best Reviewer. So this is an award that not all conferences give, and I'm pleased that AIIDE gives this out. This conference, we pride ourselves on having good reviews. We're a relatively small conference in a small community, and so the strength of AIIDE has always been consistent and constructive and thorough reviews. These people really went above and beyond. So all 3 of these reviewers filled in at the last minute with emergency reviews. So as always, there's a few people who don't submit their reviews on time. So these people all stepped up to do extra reviews. Some of these people ended up with double or even triple the average review load as a result of those emergency reviews. They gave long, thorough, yet constructive reviews, and the reviews were not all positive. Some of the reviews given were accept, some of them were reject, but in all cases they were thorough and constructive. Even the ones that were reject, we feel like they were going to help the authors improve the work and improve the paper for future submission. And also all of these people participated in the discussions of their papers. They acknowledged the rebuttals by authors. And in one case, one of these people's reviews actually went from a reject to an accept based on an acknowledgement of the author rebuttal. So we really appreciate our reviewers giving careful consideration to that rebuttal. So again, an extremely hard decision. Drum roll, our best reviewer award goes to Marcus. Congratulations, Marcus, and thank you for your extra reviews done last minute and for your extremely thorough and high quality work. Okay. David, I think you are up next.
I am up next. Congratulations to all of the award winners. We very much appreciate your work and the work of all of those in particular who were nominated. This is kind of the top of what we do here at AIIDE. So it's very, very exciting to see these awards every year. Now it falls to me to thank both our organizers, our co-organizing team at AAAI. Here I particularly want to emphasize Stephanie Lay and her work. She has been a boon to both Stephen and me over the past many months in sorting out this event, figuring out who should be doing what and when, helping a lot of you directly, kind of being a buffer between Stephen and me and kind of the whole of the conference crowd. So thanks very much, Stephanie, and thanks also to the rest of the AAAI team. Thank you to Virtual Chair for this environment that we've been able to enjoy together over the past 5 days. It's worked out even better than I had expected. We of course previewed it before making the decision to go with it, but it's actually turned out really nicely. And I hope that you agree as well. This is something you can tell us about later. If you disagree, that's great too. Tell us and we can try to change things for next year if we need be. But very happy with how Virtual Chair has turned out so far. Thanks also, of course, to our sponsors, Ubisoft La Forge. Again, check out their booth. Drop off your resume if you think that you might be interested in them. And the AI Journal, who, like I said earlier, sponsored at least 10 registrations for people from underrepresented communities that enable them to attend AIIDE. And we're very glad to be able to broaden our reach in that way. Next, I of course want to thank the phenomenal team that I've had working with me to make AIIDE happen this year. This includes all of the people on the main organizing team, as you can see in front of you, as well as the workshop organizers and the program committee and the program committees of the workshops themselves. So many people come together to make an event like this happen, and I am very grateful to all of them. I'm particularly grateful to the person on stage here with me, Stephen Ware, who has done an amazing, astonishing amount of work to make this conference happen. Stephen, thank you very much for that, and for providing basically a solid base to lean on and a very promising general chair for next year, which I'm very excited to see happen.
You're welcome. And thank you, David. I think we all owe David a great round of applause for coordinating this and really making this conference happen. 2 years in a row now as program chair last year, general chair this year, in an especially difficult time due to travel restraints and things like that. So thank you, David, for all your work organizing the team.
Thanks.
Okay, and so that's it for our closing remarks. Our last order of business is the community meeting. So this is where we all just kind of stand around and talk, and I'm sort of leading the meeting because I'm going to be general chair next year. So really we want to know what worked and what didn't work. What do you want to keep next year? What do you want to fix? Because now's your chance to tell us. So thanks, everyone. If you would like to volunteer for some sort of position, please come forward and let us know. And with that, I'm also happy to announce that we will hopefully see you all at AIIDE 2022. And Marcus Egger, I'm glad to say, has agreed to be program chair for next year, which means he will be general chair the year after that, as tradition dictates. And just a reminder of our theme for next year. One of the things we did this year was move to announcing the theme a year in advance. Next year's theme is going to be misspun tales. So send us your negative results. Send us the terrible, weird output of your system that is exciting and instructive and helps us learn to build better systems and better AI platforms. So thank you, everyone, and please join us for the community meeting, which is going to take place on the main stage. So we're just all going to gather right on the main stage and all broadcast to everyone. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed the conference, and hopefully we'll see you next year.